Hello friends, today we are going to discuss about graduate medical education regulations. That means MBBS medical education regulations under National Medical Commission Act of 2019. I am Dr. Suresh Badadmat, Professor of Psychiatry, working at National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, Bangalore. In this video, I'll be discussing about MBBS education, how they are regulated under National Medical Commission Act of 2019, and also I'll be discussing about Graduate Medical Education Regulations 2023. In simple words, MBBS Regulations 2023. If you look at the National Medical Commission Act, the Act received the presidential assent on 8th of August 2019. If you look at the NMC Act, it has 61 sections and 8 chapters. With regard to undergraduate medical education, in simple word MBBS education, have been dealt under two important chapters, Chapter 4 and 5. Chapter 4 talks about national examination and 5 talks about autonomous boards. Here, I'll be discussing about these two chapters. In the chapter of national examination, which are codified under Section 14 and 15 of National Medical Commission Act, clearly says that the National Medical Commission shall conduct the national examination, that is NEET, National Eligibility Cum Entrance Test, for admission for MBBS seat, that is undergraduate as well as for PG. There will be a common final year undergraduate medical examination called as National Exit Test. It is also called as NEXT. This exam shall be a granting license to practice also. That means the next exam will play a key role for permanent registration, and that registration will be called as National Register. As well as if you want to register under a state, it will be a state register. Both will be in synchrony as per the National Medical Commission Act. Within 3 years of this legislation, the NEET and NEXT exam shall be started as per the legislation. The National Exit Test shall be the basis for admission for PG also, and also for broad specialty. Even any person who is passing foreign medical qualification also need to qualify National Exit Test, my dear friends. And also it talks about common counseling. That is, the central government shall conduct the common counseling for all India seats, and the designated authority of the state shall conduct the common counseling for the state seats. That means NMC Act has kept the federal structure intact. Now, very specifically for MBBS, Section 24, which discusses about Undergraduate Medical Education Board, in simple words UGMEB, will be regulating the undergraduate. As per Section 24, the UGMEB board has been given following power and function. It will draft the standards for UG medical education, competency-based dynamic UG curriculum for addressing the needs of the primary health care, primary health services, community medicine, and family medicine, which is badly in need in India. It also framed guidelines for setting up of UG medical institutions, that is MBBS college, minimum requirements and standards for conducting courses and examinations for the undergraduates, standards and norms for infrastructure, faculty, and quality of education in these MBBS colleges. It also talks about facilities for the development and training of faculty and also the students, facilitate research, and also the international student and faculty exchange program should be instituted at all the medical colleges, specify norms for compulsory annual disclosures with regard to various variables which the NMC will be notifying on periodic basis. And also UGMEB board will be granting recognition for medical qualification at the undergraduate level. Along with this, the National Medical Commission Act also, along with Section 24, read with Section 57, subsections H, I, J, K, O, P, QRS clearly talks about framing undergraduate regulations, that is, MBBS regulation. If you look at the National Medical Commission Act, we have three important statutory bodies. One is National Medical Commission, along with Medical Advisory Council, and finally the autonomous boards, which are four in number. For MBBS, the UGMEB, that is, Undergraduate Medical Education Board, will play a crucial role. Hence, this UGMEB drafted and notified an important regulation on 2nd June of 2023. It is called as GMER. That means Graduate Medical Education Regulation 2023. In simple word, MBBS Regulation 2023. This is one of the regulation here which talks about preamble. That means why this regulation has been written. What is the purpose? What is the goal of these regulations have been clearly laid out, and reason for writing this regulation has been crystal clear. If you look at this regulation, there are 7 chapters and 25 clauses. Let's look into these 7 chapters. First one is preliminary, which discusses about, of course, the preamble, title, and also the definitions. The second chapter talks about general consideration, section 3 to 6. Chapter 3 talks about admission, counseling, and migration from section 7 to 18. Minimum standard for requirements for MBBS, section 19. Competency-based dynamic curriculum, UG, from section 20 to 23. Chapter 6 talks about faculty development program, section 24. And finally, chapter 7, student welfare, section 25. Here, there are only 25 sections, that is GMRE regulations, my dear friends. The clause 1, it talks about title, and 2 for the definitions. Now let's move into the chapter 2, that is general consideration from section 3 to 6. Here it talks about need and maintaining of internal assessment documents for UG students. That means all medical colleges will do periodic internal assessment, which should be objective, efficient, and transparent for the UG students, and it should be made available for the National Medical Commission inspectors who do the inspection and assessment and rating of the institution. Not only that, it also talks about to start choice-based credits courses. That means, along with the curriculum, there should be some credit courses should be made available to the students. Chapter 3 talks about for various national examination, that is National Eligibility cum Entrance Test, section 7 to 18. Here it says that Undergraduate Medical Education Board will conduct NEET exam either by themselves or by a third party. Regarding this, they can write regulations or guidelines how the third party will operate and conduct this exam. To join MBBS course in India or abroad, Indian citizen need to follow NEET UG. Earlier, many students never passed NEET UG. They used to pay a huge amount of money and used to get MBBS seat, or else they used to go abroad. Now this regulation is very clear. Every student who aspires to become doctor need to pass or qualify NEET UG. Once you are qualified NEET UG, either you can take seat in India or you can go abroad to do MBBS. Without that, you will be never given permanent registration in India. Suppose there are 2-3 students have got the same score when they do entrance exam. In such a scenario, the marks obtained for physics will be used for tiebreaker. Even the physics is same, chemistry will be used. Even the chemistry is same, biology. And if the tiebreaker does not occur even at the physics, chemistry, biology subjects, then a draw of lot will be done on the computer without interference by the human being. Now let's understand how this process of national examination occurs in India. To join MBBS, every person need to pass NEET UG. Without that, you will not be given later license to practice. That means NEET UG is must to do MBBS. Once you pass your final exam, you need to pass next one, that is National Exit Exam 1. Once you pass next one, the State Medical Council will give provisional registration and the internship will start. And even for a foreign medical graduate, an Indian citizen who has completed MBBS abroad will also have to write next one. Once he finishes next one, he will apply to State Medical Council for provisional registration and for internship. The State Medical Council will allot the medical colleges based upon the guidelines given by the UGME board. Once he finishes the internship, every person has to write next two, that is National Exit Exam 2. This exam has two important purposes. One for permanent registration and license to practice, and also a merit-based postgraduate seat will be given. So that you need to understand. Now, after this regulation, every person has to write NEET, next one, and if every person has to aspire to practice in India, next two is very essential. And for registration, one need to apply for National Medical Commission or State Medical Commission. For registration, one time UID will be given for every doctor. Here, MBBS will be looked after by UG Medical Education Board, post-graduation by PG Medical Education Board. However, one important thing you need to understand. To maintain regularity and also standardization, and to note who are the students who are entering to MBBS, a unique ID will be given when a person passes NEET exam for enrolling himself to MBBS. That unique ID will be carried over for the next one exam, and the same unique ID will be carried over to next two and the permanent registration. That means you cannot play around. Every doctor will get a unique ID when he enrolls us for MBBS. Chapter 3 talks about from section 7 to 18 with regard to eligible criteria for National Entrance Examination or NEET exam. Every person should have completed 17 years on the day of 31st January for writing NEET exam on that year. Not only that, he should have passed 10 plus 2 with regard to that chemistry, physics, biology or biotechnology and English is mandatory. However, nowadays we are talking about MBBS in Indian language. I don't know, the English has been added here. Over a period of time, there may be an amendment. And every student has to undergo common counseling for admission in MBBS in India. There will be a seat matrix given by NMC. As per that, the admission will be given for MBBS seat. And one need to understand that no medical college will admit any student without that person qualifying NEET UG and common counseling. NEET UG is must even for a foreign medical graduate later if he wants to come to India to practice. Without NEET UG and without common counseling, a student cannot do MBBS in India. If they violate any of the provisions, that means if the student does not write NEET exam or common counseling, he will not be given registration later. Suppose if the medical colleges violates these provisions without NEET, they take admission, they take huge amount of money. What is the penalty? Earlier, these medical colleges used to walk away freely. This regulation is very strict. It clearly says, for the first time, for every seat, either there will be 1 crore fine or fee for the entire course will be paid by the MBBS college to the NMC, whichever is the higher one. Suppose if they have given 30 seats without NEET UG, then they have to pay either the 30 crore, or else if the fees for the entire course is more than 1 crore, then they have to pay more than that, my dear friends. That means for every seat, they have to pay for it. If they continue to do that, the second time, it will be 2 crore per seat will be the fine, or else the double the fee for the entire course has to be paid. Now, these MBBS colleges cannot play around. They need to abide by this regulation. If the student is admitted in the contravention of these regulations, the student will lose the seat, my dear friends, and he may not get even the registration or license to practice. Is it worth taking that risk? If the medical college continues to break the rules, then their recognition for the medical college will be removed. Not only that, Section 7 to 18 also talks about once the NEET UG is done, the final list will be available with the NMC, and those names will be carried out for the next one, next two, and also for permanent registration. Not only that, once the medical colleges, based upon the NEET UG and common counseling, they will admit students. Those students' names has to be written back by the medical college and intimated to the NMC. Only those medical colleges who submits the admission list will be allowed to take part in the common counseling the next year. And one important point I had to mention here, there will be no migration of student is allowed under this regulation. Suppose a student has got admitted to a medical college, he cannot ask for migration to another institution. This regulation has completely prohibited moving from one medical college to another medical college. Why is this so? There were huge scams which were done by private medical colleges. There were many students by proxy used to block the seats in various government colleges and private medical colleges, and these seats were sold at the higher cost. This kind of unethical and illegal practices what need to be curbed. Hence, National Medical Commission has completely prohibited the transference of students from one college to another college, either from private to government college or government to private college. I think it looks very strict from outside by the version of National Medical Commission and the way our students, parents, and the medical colleges are bribing or have become illegal. I think it is reasonable to place this restriction on migration. Chapter 4 talks about all the medical colleges need to fulfill the minimum standard requirement prescribed by the UG Medical Education Board, and this has to be updated every year. That means UGME board, every year they will give minimum requirements. Those requirements has to be fulfilled by every medical college. It does not mean that I have taken permission and I will not fulfill this year. Every year, the annual disclosure has to be done. And whatever the MSR, that is minimum standard requirement, has been published by UGME board shall be updated. Chapter 5 talks about competency-based dynamic curriculum for UG. That means MBBS, competency-based, and it will be dynamic. That means it will not be a static curriculum. The UGME board will publish the model UG curriculum. Based on the model curriculum, the medical universities or other universities can develop their own courses, and they need to follow the phases of MBBS, and the exams will be conducted by the respective universities. The responsibility of UG board and PG board is to give model curriculum, my dear friends, and it will be competency based and dynamic. There will be training period has to be very clear. Hence, this regulation talks about for the first MBBS year, or else for the phase 1, The MBBS student need to pass within 4 attempts. The first attempt, second or third or fourth attempt, if he does not pass, he will lose the seat, my dear friends. Not only that, no student shall be allowed to continue UG, that is MBBS course, if it does not pass within 9 years, my dear friends. That means there is a clear cut cap. You cannot have chronic repeaters for 15 years, 20 years in MBBS college, my dear friends. Now, once the person crosses 9 years after taking admission, he will lose his MBBS seat. Chapter 5 also talks about competency-based dynamic UG curriculum. All medical colleges not only follow and implement NMC curriculum, they can also start choice-based credit courses. Courses such as on ethics, research, law, medico-legal issues, consumer law, how the consumer behave, finance, psychiatry, maybe on behavior of the patients, and also on engineering, mathematics, physics, various others area can be introduced as a credit courses. That means MBBS students will be exposed to other disciplines. This is the era of interdisciplinary, my dear friends. Hence, as per the National Education Policy, MBBS is now slowly introducing interdisciplinary based on choice-based credit courses, my dear friends. Not only that, every MBBS students who wants to have a registration in India need to do internship. That means both MBBS students from India and abroad need to do internship here in India. Chapter 6 and 7 discusses about faculty development program and student welfare. With regard to chapter 6, faculty development program talks about training our teachers with regard to new curriculum, group dynamics, team building, adult learning, exercises with regard to students, how need to be new skills can be inculcated, imparting leadership skills in our MBBS students, small group discussion, case-based discussion. Those exercises will be taught to MBBS teachers, my dear friends. And finally, chapter 7 talks about student welfare. Here, implementing various welfare measures and schemes to students, such as prevention and prohibition of ragging in medical colleges, need to be implemented so that the students' welfare is kept at the highest pedestal, my dear friends. And also, there will be an elected student association and representation of students in decision making of the various medical colleges and institution should be done across all medical colleges, my dear friends. These are the very important regulations which have been notified under the UG Medical Education Board, my dear friends. Now let's critique this regulation. Here, this is the first regulation under NMC where the preamble is very clear and they talk about having NEET, UG and common counseling for all MBBS aspirants, and even a person who wants to do MBBS abroad need to pass or qualify NEET, UG, my dear friends. That means there is a standardization of MBBS course. That means nobody can directly go to a private medical college and buy the seat or a management seat. He need to qualify NEET, UG, my dear friends. Not only that, a foreign medical graduates need to pass the NEET UG, next one and next two. And this is must. Not only that, they need to do internship in India. That has been clearly spelled out in this regulation and various other regulations. That means doing MBBS abroad may not be lucrative, my dear friends. And for the MBBS colleges, penalty has been clearly written. And for every seat, if they violate, they need to pay heavy penalty. For every one seat, they have to pay 1 crore or the entire course fees they need to pay, whichever is the highest. For the second time, if they do, for every seat, they have to pay 2 crore or the double the amount of entire course fee. That means private medical colleges cannot play around now. They need to be aware and need to abide by these rules and regulation. Not only that, it also said that MBBS course need to be finished within 9 years after admission. That means if you cross 9 years, you are going to lose your MBBS seat. And first year MBBS need to be completed within 4 attempts, my dear friends. What are the negative aspects? One of the important criticism I can think of is here, the National Medical Commission Act Section 15, subsection 6 says that common counseling will be held. In this common counseling, the central government will look into only the All India seats, and the state seats will be looked after by the state authorities. However, this regulation talks about common counseling which will occur at the center. Although this violates the federal structure, but for the purpose of justice, this is required. Otherwise, if you leave it to the state, many states and various medical colleges will twist the arm against the state authorities and corruption will brew here. Hence, there is a need to have a common counseling as per the regulation, although it may violate the federal structure. And these regulations should have spelt out the fees for UG courses, but this has been not mentioned here. However, under the minimum standard requirement, those fees can be clearly spelt out. So these are the few negative points of this regulations, my dear friends. To conclude, this graduate medical education regulation or MBBS regulation, the preamble is well written. All admissions for MBBS, either in India or abroad, need to qualify NEET UG and also common counseling to do MBBS in India. Duration of MBBS is very clear. Within 9 years, one need to complete the MBBS. And also, penalty for the medical colleges for violating these regulations have been clearly spelt out. And also, common counseling is a must. Next one and next two, compulsory internship has been clearly spelt out. And any person who violates NMC norms, they may lose the seat and the medical college may lose the permission, or else they may lose the course or the seats can be decreased. However, the NMC Act has been violated in one of the regulation. The common counseling cannot be there for all of them. As per the NMC Act, either the NMC Act has to be amended or the regulations. So these are the important points with regard to GMR regulations. And finally, in simple word, this is one of the best regulation I have found under the National Medical Commission, so that MBBS seats cannot be sold at the whims and fancies of the private medical college. Thank you very much for your valuable time. Stay safe.